Hey people, how are you doing on this lovely day? It's Makeda Valletta, live from beautiful Chicago on my page, Makeda Valletta Travels. In case you're unfamiliar with me, I'm a native New Yorker who lives in Chi-Town almost 8 years now. And I travel a lot, both nationally and internationally. And I love to create videos talking about my travel. And, I love a beautiful city. I love a beautiful city. I love a boss city. That's one of the reasons why I chose to move to Chicago. But it's funny because people always think that Chicago is the murder capital of the U.S. And that is absolutely not true. For the past 8 years that I've lived in this city, I look up the stats of the most dangerous cities, in America. Chicago's never in the top 20. I dare you to look for yourself. You know who's way above Chicago consistently? Detroit and St. Louis, Philly, Baltimore, Milwaukee, which is down the road, New Orleans, Oakland, okay? Not only are all those cities way worse, but they don't even begin to compare to the beauty that's in Chicago. And every friend of mine, every family member, every friend that I have known that has come to Chicago is in awe of how beautiful it is. So I promise, and they can't believe it's the same city they heard about. They can't believe, because like Chicago, everything you hear is negative. And yeah, people get shot, but the fact that it's not the worst of it just goes to show you how violent America is. Now, granted, to those of you who may be outside the U.S., who've never been to the U.S., you may think that we all live in fear of being shot all the time. And that's not true. I mean, maybe that's for some people, but that's never been my reality. And I've traveled to a lot of dangerous cities in America, and nothing has ever happened to me, thankfully. But the one time I got robbed was in Amsterdam by an Italian man. Oops. One of my really good friends from Brooklyn, who's been living in Philly for over a decade now, he came to Chicago. The first day, he was like, oh my God. Everybody I've known feels that way. And Chicago was voted the second most beautiful city in the world. Not the country, in the world. Okay? And I used to do like Airbnb hosting with a lot of people who would come from all over the world, all over the country. And everybody I knew who had been to my hometown of New York and also Chicago, a lot of people said they preferred Chicago. Now, granted, I think that's because they probably didn't explore the whole city, okay? They probably didn't go all over Chicago, and they didn't go all over New York. Because overall, I think New York is a better city. Just in terms of resources and energy and resources. And New York has a lot of beautiful areas, beautiful parks. But Chicago is like breathtakingly beautiful. Like, it just puts me in a good mood.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Good, how are you? That's the reason why, like, no offense, but to anybody from Philly or Baltimore, but I really can't stand those cities. I mean, there's some nice areas in Philly and Baltimore, but Chicago doesn't have a bunch of like, hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, so Chicago doesn't have like a bunch of homeless people everywhere and drug addicts everywhere, and it's all filthy and dirty and like, which is what you see in Philly. Philly Philly has drug addicts that are like falling out in the street, okay, nodding out in the street. Baltimore has drug addicts that are like, have crackhead energy. Hold on. Loud alarms. Hey, Bianca. Yes, you do see that in LA. And the homeless people in LA do too damn much. They come too close to you. California has too many drug addicts, period. They be looking like they're going to stab you with a needle. And I don't like that. Hold on a minute. Yeah, Philly, they be dead ass like nodding out on the sidewalk, okay? Like, it's just terrible. So Chicago's like really clean. I remember saying, oh, there's a little bunny rabbit. Let's see if I can flip the camera around. You can see. Hold on. See the little bunny rabbit? See, I see bunny rabbits every day around here eating the grass. Oh, so cute. Some of those homeless people have attacked people, yeah. So that's the thing with New York. New York's homeless problem is not that bad. And our homeless people, I'm not going to say nobody ever gets attacked, but that's not the norm. Like, I remember when I first went to LA, I felt like the homeless people were too damn close. And they'd be having a conversation with you while you're eating. Like, New York homeless people don't know that. One thing about New York, don't do that. One thing about New York is we respect personal space. As busy as the city is and as crowded as it is, people will like, get the fuck up out my face. I don't want to feel your aura. Don't touch me, okay? There's a very clear understanding in New York with that. But I remember saying I felt like the world's best architects had a competition in Chicago. And I went on there's a boat tour. There's an architecture boat tour in Chicago that I went on. And I learned that actually was the case. Because, like, San Francisco is beautiful, but San Francisco has San Francisco architecture. New Orleans is beautiful, but New Orleans has New Orleans architecture. But Chicago has a wide variety of styles. And then, I call this the Garden City because there's so many flowers and herbs growing. Now, that's not the case in the South Side, though. And that's the thing. When people come to Chicago, usually they don't go over there. But even on the South Side, like I was showing one of my good friends yesterday who had never been here. Even on the South Side, it doesn't look, you could be in the hood, and it doesn't look like the hood looks in Oakland. The hood in Oakland looks like the end of the world. The hood in Philly looks like the end of the world. The hood in Baltimore, just watch The Wire, okay? So, in Chicago, even when you're in the hood, it's actually pretty nice looking. The difference is they don't really have any resources, which is why I still overall think New York is a better city, because no matter what neighborhood you're in, we have resources. We have a hardware store, a barber shop, a laundromat, a coffee shop, a supermarket, all around the corner, and we have them over and over again. When you go to the South Side and West Side of Chicago, which is mostly Black American, there's nothing. The buildings and the houses, the structures look nice. There's a lot of empty lots. But it doesn't look terrible. But the beautiful parts of Chicago, in Chicago, you can definitely see that was done by design. Okay? So I know that the Black Americans of Chicago are getting fed up with these migrants. And I think that Black Americans all over the country are. Okay? Like, the shit is ridiculous. I predict there's going to be a huge anti-immigrant sentiment coming soon, because I remember, and Chicago's like Ellis Island. I order food off of Uber Eats. People that deliver my food never speak English, and not even Spanish. I could deal with Spanish, okay? But no, they be speaking Ukrainian and some, rare-ass Eastern European languages, don't speak a word of English. We could never do that in their countries. I can never move to China or Ukraine and not speak a word of the language and start delivering shit. So, and my grandmother told me long ago, my grandmother who passed away in 2016 at the age of 95, may she rest in peace. My grandmother always used to tell me that they give immigrants stuff in this country they don't give us. And we're seeing it right now with these migrants. You have Americans who are struggling. Americans who are struggling to pay their rent, their mortgage. Is anybody helping us and saving us? No. But yet they're spending thousands and thousands and thousands every day to house illegal migrants. Like, hell to the no. I predict there's going to be a movement against that shit. But anyhow, I've done several videos about Chicago in the past. Hold on, let me wait till this train passes by. I just wanted to say, real quick, just talk about how I think Chicago is really the most underrated city in America. I think Miami is the most overrated city in America, and I think Chicago is the most underrated city. And if you don't believe me, come visit Chicago. You'll be shocked. And when you come, move around. My friend, he had 2 friends from New York as well who come to Chicago all the time. They love Chicago. And they were telling him how beautiful Chicago is. They were booked to come here for one day to DJ, and they stayed for like a week because they love the city so much. And I had been telling him for years how beautiful Chicago was. And hold on a minute. Oops. He told me that he didn't believe that it was as beautiful as it was. He thought, I don't know, he just didn't believe it. He said he was in shock at how beautiful the city actually is. And it really is. I'm a lover of beautiful cities. Some of the most beautiful cities that I've been to in the U.S. that I really love, San Francisco, not Oakland. But San Francisco has so many drug addicts, and it's too white and Asian. New Orleans. New York has some really beautiful areas. Where I'm from in Harlem is beautiful, and parts of Brooklyn and the Bronx that are beautiful. I haven't really spent time in Boston. I've been there briefly, but what I saw, Boston looked beautiful. Yeah, somebody said very nice and inexpensive. Yeah, Chicago's not expensive to me. Chicago people think it's expensive, but the people in Chicago who think Chicago is expensive, they don't get out much. Because if you compare Chicago to any major city that matters, Chicago is the cheapest and the nicest for what you get for your money. You're not downgrading quality at all because it's cheaper. I was shocked to know that Philly and Baltimore are way more expensive than Chicago. And Philly and Baltimore are pieces of shit. Sorry, no offense if you're from those cities, but there's no comparison to Chicago with Philly and Baltimore. So Chicago's super underrated, trust me. I meet people every single day that move to Chicago from different places. From the West Coast, I met people that moved here from Seattle, from Portland, from Cali, from Texas, mad New Yorkers, people that moved here from Florida, from all over the country, and people, South Carolina, and they love it. I mean, it's really beautiful. And if you can come in the spring or the summer, when there's all the flowers and stuff out, and herbs, that's great. But even in the winter, in the fall, it's beautiful. Okay, so that's all I got to say. Chicago is mesmerizing. Every single person I know that has come to Chicago in the past 8 years can't believe the beauty. And if you ever come to Chicago, make sure you go see the lake. Because I meet people that come to Chicago and they didn't see the lake. They didn't even know there was a lake. Like, you have to see that. That will blow your mind. You've never seen anything like it. Most people think a lake, they think, oh, it's dark and murky. That shit looks like Caribbean water, okay? So anyhow, I'm done. I just had to say this real quick. Have you been to Chicago? If so, what did you think of it? And if you have not been to Chicago, you need to come. And if you have any questions about anything, let me know. I'm heading in. Got to go to the gym and do my thing. Peace out. See you later. Bye.